Alright, looks like we're up. Happy National Look Up at the Sky Day. That's what I was just doing. I don't know the significance of it, but I do it every day. I'd advise others to do the same. I'm trying to see if there's still the brownish tinge to the air. Earlier, there's a large fire in Florida, and I was noticing the sky was kind of brown on the horizon. That's not a normal color of the sky, in my opinion. But, okay, all these are up. Yeah, not the most normal color of the sky, but I can't really notice it too much. I still can. Who am I kidding? Well, let's hop right into it. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. This is episode number 88 of Addressing the Issues. Kind of a slow news day. I'm not going to lie. There's not much to cover. That's why we'll be talking about water at the end of this today. Because the water stories might be the most interesting part of what's happened today. Like, literally could be the most consequential stories is just water. Interesting. But I guess, we need it to live. So, we'll hop right into it. So today, Marco Rubio hosted both Israeli and Lebanese diplomatic envoys at the White House. This happened earlier today. This is the first time that the two countries have met diplomatically in decades. While they did not agree for a plan of peace or a plan for peace, it's been claimed that by the U.S. State Department that they were productive discussions on steps towards launching direct negotiations. Direct negotiations isn't something that happens too often these days. Normally you have a mediator. I guess that was the role this time, and they'll move to, hopefully, direct negotiations in the near future regarding this Israel-Lebanese conflict dating back to 1948. I believe they've been at war since. But notably, during these talks did not include Hezbollah, which made it known during these conversations by launching missiles during said discussions into northern Israel. Apparently, this was known during the meeting by those involved, as after the meeting, the Israeli ambassador made it clear that Hezbollah's attacks on civilian population centers would not be tolerated when he was asked if Israel would stop attacking civilian infrastructure in Lebanon. They're doing the same thing, both sides. I mean, I think everybody who watches the show remembers, like a week ago, pretty sure it was exactly a week ago, Israel launched 100 missiles or 100 airstrikes in 10 minutes into Beirut. I would argue that the capital of Lebanon is probably a population center. I guess that's open for interpretation to some people. But if you launch airstrikes into the capital of a country, it is probably considered a population center. So I found that very rich. I mean, both sides are doing it. How can you condemn the other without condemning yourself? Well, it's impossible if you're not a hypocrite, but, both sides of this are, hence why the U.S. needs to get completely out of it. We need to be done with this. But, we would rather be a hypocrite than be right, I guess, which is kind of absurd to me. But it seems that these negotiations may get somewhere in the future. This is probably a major part of winding down this Iran conflict, as both sides are well, I guess one side wants this to stop happening. Iran wants the attacks in the Lebanon to stop. The Israelis want to continue to attack portions of southern Lebanon, allegedly attempting to bring them into Israel as as part of the nation, as part of territory. That's why they've been cutting off the southern portion of Lebanon from the river. I forget what the river is called. I can probably figure it out real quick. Let's see. But they've been bombing the bridges along this river, attempting to sever it from the rest of the country. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Because the river probably has a name. Let's see. Is this it? Awali River, I believe, is the point at which they are trying to sever southern Lebanon from the rest of the country. At least I believe. There's a few rivers through here, actually. But I think it is the Awali River. Oh, let's see, the Awali. 99% sure. That is the point of which they're trying to cut Lebanon in basically half and then take that territory. It's already been, all the town names actually have been removed on Apple Maps, allegedly. I guess making it, a little bit easier if everybody on the map assumes that nobody lives there. It's like, then they can have it. I don't know that it's that easy in real life. I guess it is. You can just pay off somebody to remove the town names and make it seem like, it's just up for grabs. But that's what's going on with that. But I do think that a ceasefire in Lebanon is the first step towards ending the Iran war. I don't think that you get there without first a ceasefire in Lebanon. And then you can get to negotiating with Iran, because this is a red line for them. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't think anybody does. I don't think it's going to be, something done in the next 48 hours. But I think this is the first step to possibly ending the Iran war conflict. So hopefully some steps are made in the right direction on this. Because as this drags on, tensions will remain high regarding Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, oil trade, which we'll get into shortly. But I also don't know how not including Hezbollah, the terrorist organization which is conducting these, is going to help. Because if they have no seat at the negotiating table and they have actually military power, not as much as the U.S. or Iran or Russia or China, but they do have some military power. I don't know how you're going to get them to stop when they do not have a seat at the table. But apparently this was a special request by Israel that Hezbollah not be included in these discussions. But I truly don't know how you are going to achieve a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel by not including Hezbollah. It just makes no logical sense, especially when they do have the ability to launch missiles, launch ground troops even. So it seems like that would be a logical next step, is discussing with them what needs to happen for them to stop, for them to disband. And until that's done, I'm not sure that these will be entirely fruitful, truly, which is unfortunate, because we need this all to wrap up. We need it to stop. But until you have these discussions with Hezbollah next, and then find a way to create a ceasefire in Lebanon, peace hopefully, and then from there you can move on to Iran, and then hopefully we can find a peace agreement there longer than whatever strange kind of blockade ceasefire we've got going on right now. But we'll move into that. So Central Command today released the results of the first 24 hours of the blockade on Iranian ports. It's claimed that in these 24 hours, no ships from Iranian ports made it past the blockade. 6 merchant vessels complied with direction from U.S. forces to turn around, meaning 6 tried to get through. They were instructed to turn around, then did so, amounting to 0 total ships leaving Iranian ports through the Strait of Hormuz. And in use for this blockade, how much equipment and personnel is being used? There's 10,000 plus U.S. troops, according to Central Command, 100 plus fighter and surveillance aircraft, both manned and unmanned, and 12 plus warships. I believe yesterday I reported that it was 15 plus. It's now being determined that it's 12 plus. Obviously, it could still be 15 plus, but this is the numbers that Central Command is giving us, probably understating it, so it seems more palatable for everybody involved. You don't want to find out that your entire Navy is working on a blockade of Iran when there are actual threats around the world that aren't merchant ships leaving the Strait of Hormuz. But that is what they released from the first 24 hours. Apparently, this blockade is in some sense successful. It's also been reported that when the U.S. Started the blockade, it was claimed that Iran was allowing freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure if that's exactly true, but I've heard it from a couple sources that they were going to allow freedom of navigation of the Strait of Hormuz after the U.S. declared the blockade, technically making the U.S. the bad guy here. I don't know how true that is. It's also being reported that the U.S. is allowing transit of Arab country ships through, but the total number, I guess they're letting Arab ships through, so they can export oil and such, natural gas, presumably fertilizer as well. So hopefully that can ease some of the growing economic pains from this war. Price of fertilizer, price of oil, price of energy, not just in Asia, in Australia, but also, or even in Europe, but also here in the U.S. Hopefully that is some way of getting prices down a little bit. I don't know how well that's going to work. They're kind of, still a month away from wherever they're seeking to deliver these supplies in these ships. So it seems like we're still in for at least one more month of economic pain from this, even if Arab countries like the UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain are all able to export things. They don't get there instantly. It takes roughly a month from there, depending on where you're going. I mean, maybe a week to India and Pakistan, a month to China, probably a month to Europe, probably a little over a month to the United States, North America, South America. So that's where we're at with that. Apparently the blockade on Iranian ports is successful, and now there is some merchant ship navigation through the Strait of Hormuz by Arab countries. I'm looking right now actually at the map. There are ships right now transiting the Strait of Hormuz, so that is good news, yeah, there's quite a few right now. Probably not from Iranian ports, but, you know, they probably don't need any more money than they've already collected through tolls in this war. Then there's the economic side of this. It's been reported today that a top Harvard economic analyst claims that they are certain we will reach $1 trillion in total expenditures for the Iran war. This is the U.S. only. And this is with the assumption that severe escalation will not occur. I think the official number for equipment used is somewhere around 100 billion right now. Let's see. I should have looked this up before. But I didn't. I didn't even think to. There is a ticker somewhere, if I can find it. Is this it? Yeah, it's right now currently at 51 billion is the estimated taxpayer spending. But somehow it's going to reach 1 trillion. I'm not exactly sure. I guess you've got to pay the people who have been deployed to this. I assume that's going to be a lot of the cost that is not yet accounted for. And then also whatever cost we pay back in reparations, because apparently that's a big part of the peace deal, is that the U.S. will pay reparations to Iran. Believe it or not. I can't believe we've gotten ourselves into that situation. That should be a red line for everybody, that we're not paying reparations, but allegedly we may be. So, but yeah, $1 trillion in debt is estimated by the end of this. Now, economic analysts are known to not be the most accurate regarding things President Trump does. I remember the top economic analyst said that everything was impossible for Trump, and then allegedly he did the impossible, but I don't know, they might get it right this time, but that would put U.S. debt at $40 trillion. So I guess Operation Let's Hit $40 trillion in debt by 2027 is a go, which is absolutely horrifying, because one day we're going to have to pay back at least some of that, or the debt collector will come knocking at our door, and it probably won't be pretty. Who's that debt collector? Probably the rest of the world. Probably the rest of the world. They're going to be pissed. But until then, you know, I guess we can just keep running up this debt, and future generations will continue to have to pay it off. It's like, what, $12 trillion was the breaking point in the early 2000s, and we're pushing $40 trillion in 2026. I mean, kind of awesome if you think about it. But yeah, take the top Harvard economic analyst's word how you will. I don't know that it will reach 1 trillion. He says it will, and then would be more with severe escalation. I don't know how accurate that is. I mean, it's all guessing at this point, but that is a horrifying, sobering thought that this could run up another trillion, pushing us right up to that $40 trillion mark. But in other war funding news, Ukraine is spending $4 billion on U.S. Patriot GEMT interceptor missiles, using the $2 billion in which the U.S. still gives them annually. So the U.S. sends Ukraine money, and then they use our money to buy our missiles, which we give them. So they're just getting free stuff from us. Consider this $4 billion in free military equipment while we're fighting our own war, and while we could use these same products. it's kind of impressive how we have sold out our country for Ukraine, and it is half a world away. Should be funded by Europe. If Europe cares about it, they would do it themselves, yet we foot the entire bill and give them our products, our equipment, for free, essentially. It's quite a good deal we have with them for Ukraine. For us, we push that $40 trillion mark. I mean, we're pushing for it every single day. But yeah, I figured I'd bring that up because it's an incredible deal for one side of this, and it's not the U.S. I can't believe we're still funding the corrupt dictatorship in Ukraine, but we still do. I saw this thing the other day. It was comparing Viktor Orban, who just got voted out in Hungary, who they call a dictator, and President Zelensky, who is called a democratic leader. The difference is Viktor Orban gets voted out, concedes I believe the exact same day, or maybe the next day, concedes the election and is ready to peacefully transition to the next government. And then in Ukraine, they strip people of rights, will not hold elections, and yet we are like, it's pounded towards us that this is a democracy, which is kind of incredible because I think the first facet of a democracy is that you hold elections, and they haven't held elections since this war started. I believe they were supposed to hold them like a year or two into it. Elections just keep getting pushed back. And we keep funding them because, they are labeled a democracy, although it is a oligarchical dictatorship. But that's here nor there. Nothing we can really do about it except send them $2 billion next year. Or we could cut their funding if Congress would allow it. They won't. They love Ukraine more than they love American citizens, so makes you think about whether you're going to go hit the voting booth this primary, which is America's only chance. It is the only chance if you primary these people, the same people that keep throwing money in the Ukraine that we never get back. It's just a waste for their gold-wrapped Lamborghinis and golden toilets and bidets. I mean, absolutely incredible corruption over there. But we'll move into U.S. political news. Like I said, not much is really going on today. Nothing that should be going on even is. You've got both Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez's resignations, which were both tenured yesterday, albeit on social media. But apparently they were tenured yesterday. The House recesses today without formalizing either resignation. On this news, it is claimed by Representative Anna Paulina Luna. She says that I have been contacted by Swalwell's office and informed that he will be submitting his letter of resignation shortly with an effective date of Friday so that he may transfer his staff and office administratively to the House clerk. I am hearing the same will be done regarding Gonzalez. I have my motion to expel ready to go and am waiting on his official letter. Once I receive it, I will formally withdraw my motion. We want to ensure the staff is taken care of, therefore I will be accepting the letter once it is sent. I think they should have been expelled today before they even left, but who am I to make those decisions? We'll let these criminals walk around in Congress for as long as they want to. We'll give them till Friday. Swalwell's resignation was read into the record this afternoon. That's not what I've heard. Maybe you've seen it. I didn't, but I've heard that neither one was read into the record. Was Tony Gonzalez, the guy who caused his staff member to self-immolate outside of the office? Because he's about evil as evil gets. But it's good, I guess, if his resignation letter was read into the record. It was claimed that it wasn't, with my sources. You saw it? Okay, so it was. I believe you. Long-time loyal subscriber. Subscribe on Rumble. It's only $5. Helps me out a lot. And you get your messages read every single time. But yeah, they need to be gone. I don't understand why we're waiting till Friday, but, you know, predators get much more freedom in this country than the normal citizen. I think that is entirely proven by the Epstein files, but, you know, it is what it is. We live in a country where the Epstein class is afforded more rights than the average citizen, which is completely backwards and evil, but it's the truth of what we live in. But we'll move on to a little bit other congressional news, I guess loosely related. Ro Khanna and recently resigned Marjorie Taylor Greene announced last night on CNN that they would be forming a political coalition based on unnecessary debt, stopping foreign wars, curtailing foreign influence, justice, and affordability for Americans. How beautiful is that? It's like this is what everybody in Congress should be focused on, yet they aren't. I hope this works out. They were talking about how the moderate middle is really bad at all of these things because they can't seem to pick a side on anything. They can't stand up to foreign influence. They won't stand up against foreign wars. They won't stand up against unnecessary debt. And seemingly, I mean, all of this compounds into affordability for Americans, which seemingly nobody actually cares about when you make $200,000 a year and are allowed to do insider trading. So I hope this works out. I understand that Marjorie Taylor Greene has resigned. I guess she could lead in some shape the formation of this. I don't know what her role exactly would be, but Ro Khanna is still in Congress as of right now, although he is a Democrat. If he focuses on these things and they can reach common ground on these important things, albeit they'll probably have different ways of doing so, it is a step in the right direction for our country. We can't keep running up the debt. We can't keep throwing ourselves into foreign affairs that do not help Americans whatsoever. It seems kind of like this could be the beginning of the America First coalition, which, when was that? I believe that was like, sometime during the World Wars, actually, it started, maybe 1920s. Let's see if I can find that. America First Committee. This was started in formed in the 1940s. Dissolved in 1941. I guess, you know, Americans only matter for like 1 year in a century, but no, I think this is a really good step if they can actually make something happen. Of course, the sun is doing sun things. Let's see if I can get this. Let's go back down. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. Can we get... Okay. I guess this is just what we get for starting late today. You just get Shadow Sam. But no, I think this is a great first step. I don't know that these two should be at the head of it, but it has to be done. We have to come back and start focusing on Americans again. It's long overdue. We're in way too much debt. We're making way too many dumb decisions, and people are subservient to other countries as opposed to their own constituents at this point. So hopefully they can get something going in this manner. I could see Thomas Massey getting on board with this. I don't know that it is the third political party that people dream of. Elon Musk talked about the America Party last election cycle. I mean, maybe it was a little after. I can't remember exactly when he was talking about that. But this is what America needs at this point. We can't keep pledging allegiance to other nations over our own constituents in Congress. So this is something that is necessary, truly. But at roughly the same time this happens yesterday, this new coalition, which seems to focus on problems for Americans as opposed to problems for other countries, someone named Martin Shkreli posted on X. I had no idea who this was, but I'll read you what his statement was, and then I'll tell you who he is. It says, "To all the House Dems, this can happen to you easily." He's replying to Eric Swalwell's resignation letter. It says, "To all the House Dems, this can happen to you easily. I'ma tell you one time, don't fuck with me. At Ro Khanna, you fucked with me. That's against the aforementioned rules. So you next. Everyone has a secret, a vice, a mistake, but not everyone has a determined enemy. Tread carefully." So I go, who is this guy? Why is he talking like this on the same day that this guy says that he's going to put Americans' issues into the forefront? Well, Martin Shkreli is an American former pharmaceutical executive and hedge fund manager. Of course, hedge fund. He's dubbed the Pharma Bro and the most hated man in America. It says that he gained notoriety in 2025 for increasing the price of life-saving drug Daraprim by 5,000% from $1,350 to $750 per pill, while CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals. He's also been to prison. It says in 2017, Shkreli was convicted of securities fraud and conspiracy for defrauding investors in two failed hedge funds, MSB Capital Management and MSMB Healthcare, and for scheming to loot his country Retrophin of $11 million. So not a good guy. I don't think that this should be the person who is determining whether people get to stay in Congress or not. He seems like he is no more pure than Eric Swalwell. But he is now out openly threatening to House Democrats that they will be expelled, that they will have their secret vice or mistake revealed. And now he's going after Ro Khanna. Roughly at the exact same time, he is discussing with Marjorie Taylor Greene on CNN that they will be forming a new coalition based on what every American at this point just wants, what they seek out of their representation. So I don't know. Keep an eye on this guy, somebody, because he seems like a rather sleazy person. Marking medications up 5,000%, looting hedge funds. Being in a hedge fund in the first place is like, that's red flag number one. And then from there, where do you go? I mean, I guess to prison, but that's a whole different can of worms, I guess. I don't know. Keep an eye on that guy. He seems like a sleazeball for sure. We'll move on. We've been talking about this off and on over the last couple of months, but a 10th scientist now connected to nuclear and national defense has now vanished without a trace. This is a disappearance. He got tied in the last couple of days to this, but he's been missing since August 28th, 2025. And it's strange that all of these follow these same patterns. They leave all their identification at home, clean out their cell phones, like factory reset them, and then walk out of the house, no electronics, sometimes with an ID, normally without, sometimes with a gun, sometimes they just walk out into the middle of nowhere, allegedly. It's been claimed that this is related to foreign operations, I guess spycraft, statecraft. This is what the thought is currently in the mainstream. But if you have 10 of these, it doesn't seem the government's really actively looking for these people, which is alarming because they probably have an idea of everything that they know. So why would you not go look for them? I mean, you should probably go to the ends of the earth to find these people before they are interrogated for national secrets. Yet it's not happening. It seems that these are kind of being brushed under the rug. We're not really going out and looking for the people that are doing this. So what is it? Is it the U.S. government doing it? Is why the search isn't too strong? It's like, yeah, we know what happened here, why they're disappeared. I don't know. Here's your new conspiracy theory. But it's kind of strange that all these people loosely intertwined to major defense organizations, science labs, like NASA, JPL, AFRL Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Kansas City National Security Campus, Los Alamos National Lab, where the UFOs are. Whether those are real or not is an entirely different question. It seems like a government psyop, but that's here nor there. AFRL Kirtland Air Force Base. So all these people are very knowledgeable of their craft, know probably national secrets, and we're not, chasing them to the ends of the world to try and find them and bring them back so these secrets can't be expelled to foreign adversaries. Makes me have a hunch that these people are disappearing, kind of like in the sense that opposition politicians disappear in South America, which is kind of alarming because they do have knowledge about all these things, whether it be lots of nuclear, but also a lot of them are loosely connected to this UFO study, that this UFO thing that's coming to light recently. It's got everybody on edge that for some reason UFOs are going to be landing. I mean, the frequency of these experiences and UFO things have really only ballooned after World War II, when the U.S. discovers UFO-like aircraft in Germany after World War II, like the Die Glock, the Bell aircraft. And then right after World War II, we start having these UFO appearances in the U.S. And it's like, oh, they're here to save us. And they give us these technologies and crash landings. And it's like, I don't think so. I think it's all a government program, in my opinion. And that's why these people have to disappear. It's because they probably are on the verge of coming clean and saying, yes, this is a government control operation. We own all the UFOs. And then if they said that, then the control factor of, oh, we're going to get invaded by aliens and UFOs just doesn't work anymore when you know it's the U.S. government. So, I don't know. That's what my worry is with this. I believe that they're connected, but I don't think it's foreign intelligence that are just disappearing these people to another country. I just can't get on board with that. It feels like a psyop that they're trying to keep perpetuating. But yeah, because what are the signs of a psyop? Well, the information is controlled, and there is a narrative that is being pushed out to everyone. Whether that narrative be accurate or not, entirely different story. But there's control on information, a monopoly, one would say, and a narrative being pushed out by the media, by people in the public. And that's what this looks like to me. I don't think the UFOs are real, guys. I'm sorry. They're not aliens. I don't believe it. Is that a conspiracy theory even? I guess so. Because worst conspiracy theory of all time. But we'll get on to the water news. Lots of fun things in the world of water today. So a high school student in Virginia, her name is Mia Heller, has reportedly invented a water filter in her garage that removes 95.52% of particles in tap water. Did it in her garage, 18 years old, high school education. This won her $500 at the Regeneron Science Fair, meaning if you give an 18-year-old $500 worth of incentive to make everybody's life better, she can make everybody's life 95% better with just a $500 incentive. It makes you kind of wonder why these big companies that do things like this can't get the same results with billions of dollars. You just give an 18-year-old in high school $500 incentive. Say you could win $500 if you can just make everybody's life a little bit better. And she makes it 95% better in her garage with a high school education. Quite impressive. Hopefully, she can turn that into a company. It doesn't even sound like she needs to go to college. Sounds like she knows just enough as is. I mean, if you can get something done like that without a college education, what even is college worth anymore? I can't get this camera to work. Yeah, this is getting cooked right now. It's all right. We're almost done. And then there's also more water news. It's being claimed that Baltimore is running out of fluoride to put into the water, running out of fluoride to put into its water system because of the Iran war. It's claimed that shipments of fluoride from a supplier in Israel have experienced significant operational disruptions due to the Iran conflict. Good. That's the best news that's come out of this war yet. There's no need to damage your brain with fluoride in the water for something that toothpaste can achieve in and of itself if you just brush your teeth. I mean, kind of crazy that we allow this to be put into our water, giving us brain damage, weakening our bones as well, because it binds, as opposed to calcium in the bones, it binds into your brain, turning it into basically a rock. And it's also kind of alarming that this is, even a thing anymore when we know that this is the results of drinking fluoride, is that it basically slowly kills you. So shout out Florida for getting rid of the fluoride in the tap water. I guess all the dual citizens here knew how bad it was for us, and they just said, you know what, why are we doing this to ourselves? We can just let Baltimore be dumb and weak. And, another facet of controlling people's brains, their knowledge, controlling their health in general. Just another facet of control that's easy to do. And you do it under the guise of, We put it in the water to keep your teeth healthy when all the fluoride you would need for a day is in your dose of toothpaste. So, I don't know. Hopefully that girl's, garage water filter can get the fluoride out, because if it doesn't, we won't have many more like her left. I mean, really impressive. You can get 95%, well, I guess rounds up to 96% of particles in tap water out with just this filter. I mean, what an awesome accomplishment. Pray for her safety, because when stuff like this happens, it seems that something always happens to the person with these earth-changing inventions. But that's all we have for today. Make sure you guys are dropping a like, commenting, sharing the episode. I know today was a slow news day. Just sharing the channel, I guess, in general. Subscribing on YouTube, following on Kick, following on Rumble. Subscribing on Rumble if you want to help me out financially. It's like $5 a month. You can do it for 1 month. You can do it, I guess, indefinitely as well if you choose to do so. It'll help highlight your chats. I'll read them, I promise. And it helps me out. But I guess the most important thing that helps me out the most is you guys that come in every day, stick around to the end, interact with the show, like the show. I mean, that's the most important. But if you would like to help me out financially, you can always subscribe on Rumble. It's, like I said, $5 a month. But I guess, we did have some good news today, but we will move on to the good news segment of the show. Today we are back in Genesis. We're going to be doing Genesis chapter 9. This is God's covenant with Noah after the flood. It reads, "Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, 'Be fruitful, increase in number, and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall upon all the beasts of the earth and all the birds of the air, upon every creature that moves along the ground, and upon all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hands. Everything that lives and moves will be food for you. Just as I have gave you the green plants, I now give you everything. But you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it. In your lifeblood I surely demand an accounting. I will demand an accounting from every animal, and from each man too will demand an accounting for the life of his fellow man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by the man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God has God made man. For in the image of God has God made man. As for you, be fruitful and increase in number. Multiply on the earth and increase upon it.' Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, 'I now establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after that was with you. And with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, all the wild animals, all those that came out of the ark, every living creature on earth, I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be cut off by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth.' And God said, 'This is a sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth.' So God said to Noah, 'This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on earth.'" I wanted to do this one for a while, we were kind of focused on Easter stuff over the Easter holiday, which I think makes sense. But I look at this and I compare a lot of Genesis to the scientific explanations of how the earth was made. And then recent scientific developments, some not even recent, that show that this actually happened. When you find seashells on top of 20,000-foot mountains, it kind of proves that this story actually happened. When you find things that lived at the bottom of the sea on top of mountains in the Himalayas, it's like, this definitely happened, like, truly. And I also think about this story about the rainbow. In the modern sense, the rainbow has been hijacked by the LGBT QRS mafia. It was never meant to be that. That was the sign of God's covenant between him and the earth, that it would never be flooded again, that all life will not be wiped out once more, that the earth will not be destroyed again. And it's been hijacked by people who don't believe in God, don't respect God. Will make fun of you for believing in God, as they believe they are gods themselves. They should have control over their own design. They should be able to mutilate themselves and not be able to reproduce, like God says in this chapter. Be fruitful and increase the number and fill the earth. You can't do that once you've had your gender reassignment surgery. It's impossible. But every time I look at this, think of this even, I think of how the good God has promised has been hijacked by people who despise him. And how we as Christians, I guess, allowed that to happen. It's a mockery. It's kind of like the mockery I talked about yesterday. You shouldn't mock God. No other religion puts up with it. Why do Christians? And it's like, oh, you need to be accepting of everyone. You don't have... That is a absolute... You can be accepting of them. You can be welcoming of them. But you don't have to agree with all the junk they throw out there. You don't have to agree that the rainbow represents the LGBTQRS mafia, because it doesn't. The rainbow represents the covenant with God, men, and the earth. That we will never be wiped out by a flood again. That the earth will never be destroyed again. And I guess the irony of this is the people attempting to destroy the earth, the people who have now claimed the rainbow as their own flag of just degenerate sexuality, are the ones that are destroying this earth, everything that's great. It's not with a flood, it's them doing so with their just disgusting actions, defacing the children of God, which is themselves, they are all children of God. It's that they also have chosen to deface that temple, try and change it in a way in which God didn't provide, trying to make themselves feel as if they are more powerful than God, being able to change their sex, change their gender, sleep with the same sex. I mean, it's appalling that we as Christians have allowed this to happen. I mean, truly, we've allowed them to take a symbol of God and his graciousness and use it against us in a way that mocks God himself. I don't know. It's kind of crazy that we've allowed this to happen, and it's just them rubbing it in our faces. It's like, oh, you won't do anything because you're a Christian. You won't stand up for the fact that God's rainbow was a covenant between him and the earth, that he would never wipe everybody out again. And these people are wiping themselves out by themselves through these mutilation surgeries and then rubbing it in our faces saying, oh, you have to accept it because you're a Christian. And the truth is that's not entirely true. We have every right to point out the wrongs that people do. We're not to judge, but we can definitely point out the wrongs people do. And that's just the weakness of modern day Christians, is we're unwilling to point out these wrongs because we will be said, oh, well, that's not very Christian-like. You're judging me. And it's like, no, we're not judging you. We're just saying this is wrong. And that's the weakness of modern Christianity, is we're willing to accept these people who think that they're more powerful than God, that think they are gods by mutilating their genitals. And then they say, oh, you can't judge me. We're not judging you. We're just telling you it's wrong. And we're afraid to do it because I don't know why. You can't be afraid to point out the evilness in this world, or the evilness will consume you. It will consume your community. It will consume your family. We've got to just man up as Christians and say this is wrong. You don't have to judge them. You just have to say, you have to point out good and evil, what is holy and what is satanic. And a lot of this LGBTQRS stuff is satanic. It's evil. And we're afraid to be called people who judge people by the same people that have hijacked God's covenant's representation and put it on a flag for their sexuality. I mean, complete weakness on our part. The Lord never said that we need to be the doormat of everybody else. That never happened. So we can't be the doormat that gets walked all over. We have to stand up for good and bad, holy and evil. We just have to. But that's all I have for today. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Make sure you guys are dropping a like, commenting. Maybe comment what verse or story from the Bible you'd like for me to look into tomorrow. I think that would be a good comment, promotion. Comment a Bible verse, Bible chapter, story that I should look into tomorrow for the show, and I'll have it at the end. I'll check tomorrow morning before I get started on everything else, and we'll look into it, and I'll be prepared, hopefully, and we'll do that at the end of tomorrow's show. So throw that in the comments, whether it be the live chat before the end of the show or just the comments after the show, just the regular comment chat. And I'll look into that. I think that would be fun. Make this a little more interactive for everybody that watches, especially to the end. I appreciate you guys that are here until the end every day. My favorite viewers. I don't pick favorite. Well, I do, actually. You guys are my favorite. But yeah, make sure you guys are dropping a like, subscribing on YouTube, following on Kick, following on Rumble. Hopefully I'll get started a little bit earlier tomorrow so the sun isn't doing this. I'll go back to national look up at the sky day or whatever it is. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, why don't you just do this every day? Like, there's so much interesting stuff up there. There's like chemtrails and stars and the moon and the sun, clouds and chemtrails and wildfire smoke and chemtrails and all right, let's stay out of the conspiracy theory stuff because we've already dropped a few today. There's stuff in the water, fluoride, UFOs. Oh, we've gone down into the conspiracy rabbit hole today. Yikes. I'll have to be on the lookout later. Make sure nobody's coming to get me. I'll end up the 11th disappeared, but I'm not a scientist and know absolutely nothing more than I can read on the public internet or in a book. I don't know. We'll wrap it up here. I've got places to be here in a few minutes anyways, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. To my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. I should be live at 4:45 tomorrow. There's still no word on going into this weekend, so I'm just going to assume for right now that we should have 5 episodes this week. If anything changes, I'll let you know. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow.